Good evening. We are coming to you from the Egyptian Church of Christ Incorporated. This program is for one group of people and one group only, the children of God. You no longer have to wander off the straight path. For those who want to make a difference, for those that want to know the truth to so many unanswered questions, and for those who are tired of the devil taking control over everything in their lives and the lives of their children. This program is set up for those who want to bring God's kingdom to earth. According to the scriptures, Matthew 6:33, but seek ye first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness should be added to you. Therefore, we must take back control of our lives. We, as the Egyptian Church of Christ Incorporated, are reaching out to embrace all the children of God. As it states in Psalms 82:6, I have said, ye are gods, and all of ye are the children of the Most High. Next, you will be listening to our pastor, Reverend Dr. Malachi York L., in question and answer form.
Of bits and pieces? Is it a physical action that someone removes bits and pieces from one of the other six and then gives it to who? In this, referring to the same question, please.
Rahobat. I know what you're trying to say. When she says who's them, the average person in here doesn't have 7 clones. But let's say the 5 men that control the Bilderberger Society. Bilderberger Society of 5 men who rule the world, or Ram Corporation. Each one of them have a clone, and each one of them had that clone produce copies of themselves for body parts. And they have special doctors that are responsible for keeping them together. Let's say he has face cancer. If you notice, at one point, his whole face was swelling up and eating away. If anybody knows something about terminal cancer, they would not be able to just pull it away and patch him up like that. It doesn't work like that. Once it starts to eat the cells away, that's it. You have a very limited amount of time when it becomes that apparent. Now if you look at him, all of a sudden, this whole big mass is gone, or had this big growth on his nose of cancer. Then all of a sudden, you know, he disappears for a little while, goes away, goes on a tour, comes back through, and it's not there. He no longer has a nose problem. So they have ways now. What they're doing is they have cell tips they work with, and they're having a problem with making it public in America because they have to go into the fetus and take cells in the fetus that can rebuild cells. What I'm saying now sounds crazy, but if you go in the computer, you can investigate it. Cell tips, they call them. And it rebuilds cells. So if you have, let's say, MS or some kind of brain damage, now they have the means by which they can take out of a baby's fetus cells, inject them into your brain cells, it'll cling on and begin to reproduce fresh blood cells, actually regrow cells. But the conflict is every time they do that, they have to eliminate a baby. They have to kill a baby. So now they're trying to take control of Africa and other countries where they don't mind eliminating babies in order to sustain their life. It's ugly, it's a sad truth, but it's the truth. So it's like say the Anunnaki and beings of that caliber had clones. The ancient Egyptians had clones. The so-called pharaohs had clones made of themselves, so that in the event that during their life they suffered from some type of terminal disease, the alchemists could immediately replace that with no fear of rejection, because they replace it in, they only know 6 to 8 weeks determines whether or not your blood is going to reject it. There was no fear of that. And that's what it means when they say they're talking about those physicians. And in the let's say in the time of Zosa, the physicians would be under Ayemhotep. That was his high priest. And beneath in the time of Tutankhamun, he would be Ai. The high priest would be Ai. He had a bunch of men under him, which were called the royal guard of Amun-Ra. And they were high priests. You sometimes see them depicted in artwork with an ihram on, a simple white robe, bald head, no hair. And they shave all of their body. Anything that was bacteria attractive, they didn't have. They were pure white robes all the time. They always showed them in any book you read on Egyptian, they show you these men, and they call them wabs, or priests in ancient Egypt. Well, these men knew the sciences. They were like scientists. They knew about the embalming. They knew about cloning. They knew about alchemy, altering molecules. They just were learning. They got their knowledge from beings who came from beyond the stars here, which sounds crazy in America until when we speak of beings coming from beyond the stars, it sounds like it's crazy until you talk to a Christian in America and you say, where did Jesus come from? And they go, huh? You say, well, where did Jesus come from? According to your Bible, Jesus said, I am from above, you are from beneath. Jesus said, I come down from the Father. As long as you're talking UFOs and you keep it in that terminology of UFOs, it sounds crazy. But when you turn around and just say, let's get for real, where did Jesus come from? And they'll say, before he came to earth, he had to have been someplace. If you say he came, they'll say, well, Jesus came from heaven. The next question is, where is heaven? The definition of heaven, of course, to them is up there. Up there, where? Up there somewhere. Okay, good. Being you don't know exactly where he came, but you do know he came from up there, then you are admitting that he came to this earth from some other place where he lived. Did he have a seat beside his Father there? They'll say, well, according to the Bible, of course, Jesus sat on the right side of his Father while up there. So there's seats there. Was there angels there, the heavenly hosts? According to the Bible, there were heavenly hosts there. And these heavenly hosts, were they nude or did they wear robes? Because when Jesus appears in visions, or when the Blessed Mother Mary appears in visions, they always are garbed in white robes, etc. So they have robes there. Yes, when you read the holy books, it speaks about paradise and the fruits of paradise and the pure water of paradise and the gifts that we're going to get when we get to heaven, which are very similar to the things we already have here on earth, but they're supposed to be tarnishless. But slowly but surely, we're being confronted with a reality that there's a place somewhere there where they go, a specific place. And in that place, there's seats and people talk. Because in fact, in Genesis chapter 3, God is walking in the garden talking. Well, either God was talking to himself when Adam and Eve heard them, but it says they heard God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. So he was actually moving about. So what was he doing? Talking to somebody, a group of people, because they heard him. Because you wouldn't hear him if there was no concrete and he didn't have no cleats on his shoes. You wouldn't hear him. They were walking around in sandals on sand. You won't hear nobody walking on sand in the cool of the day. So they must have been having a conversation. Who was God talking with? Other beings that are on his equal or beneath him or above him. They have to be in one of those places. They have to be either higher than him, equal to him, or beneath him. But whatever it is, there's other people there. And if there's a seat on the right side, the only reason why you would mention having a seat on the right side is because there must be a seat on the left side. So if Jesus is sitting on the right side because he's good, then on the left side sits Satan. But Satan can't be there no more because Revelation 12 says Satan was thrown out of heaven and can't come back no more. So there's an empty seat on the left side. But as you add these ridiculous little things together that sound like mumbo jumbo, they come down to a reality that there is a place where Jesus came from. And there's a place that Jesus wants us to go to. And he says, where I am, you may be also. But the point is, if he says that where I am, you may be also, if we go and look at that literally, he's saying, I am somewhere and you're over there. And I want you here. And to find out where that, we simply go to the Lord's Prayer. Where is that here? Well, Jesus said, I want you to pray like this. Our Father, who art in heaven. So now he's separating himself from earth beings and saying there is a heaven and our Father is there. You follow? We have to do that. If we take it from the religious and just blindly go by faith and say, well, you know, I'm not going to address these final points, then we're not worthy to be there. Simply because it says you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. So we're supposed to know these things. Otherwise, God would have never put them in the Bible. If he didn't want us to find them, he never gave us the intelligence to find them. He wouldn't give the heathen the intelligence to rage, because God controls all the intellect in the boundless universe. So if someone speaks against God, God allowed him to do it for a specific reason. He wants that question raised. He wants that doubting Thomas to exist. Because by doubting Thomas, he can confirm the truth. If there's no doubting Thomas, how do I get to the truth if I don't have somebody saying, well, I know God personally? And then there's some guy in the congregation says, you don't know God. God arranged both of those situations. The kook who says, I know God personally, and the guy that says, you don't know God. And he says, yes, I know God. Well, where's God? Oh, God's in heaven. He talks to my heart. Okay, now the situation changed. God talks to your heart. God talks to everybody. I thought you meant that you knew him personally, like I know this guy, and he talks to me like me and him sitting in the bar having a beer. That's a big difference, but it's left like that. So when he's making reference to they, he's speaking of a place where beings are. And those beings walk and talk with God. And they're called the heavenly hosts. In fact, one man in the Bible called Enoch was so good that God didn't even let him die. It says in the Bible, God translated him and took him to himself